For years, Russia's drones have terrorized Ukraine, spreading fear and panic across the country, leaving death and destruction in their wake. At last, that's all starting to change, because something has started to hunt and kill those drones with ruthless efficiency, wiping out up to 95% of the Kremlin swarms at a time. And this lethal hunter isn't waiting until drones are closing in on their targets or loitering above Ukrainian towns and cities to wipe them out. It's destroying them from literally hundreds of kilometers away before they have the chance to threaten a single innocent life. We're talking about Ukrainian interceptor drones, which have now become one of the most important elements in the country's air defense network. Because it turns out that arguably the best way to deal with drones is, quite simply, with more drones. It's certainly the most cost-effective approach. Given that Russia's Shahed drones cost in the region of $20,000 to $50,000 per unit, Ukraine doesn't really want to waste the likes of $1 million interceptor missiles taking them out. It needs a cheaper and simpler way to counter them in the sky, and interceptor drones fit the bill perfectly. Many of these drones cost just a couple of $1,000s to make, but are so intelligently designed that they can easily and effectively eliminate drones that are significantly larger and more expensive. The Sting, for example, which is produced by a company called Wild Hornet, is estimated to cost between $1,000 to $2,500 per unit. It's extraordinarily cheap, which might lead some to believe that it can't possibly be all that effective in a real-world combat scenario. But the Sting's design makes it a veritable demon for Russian drones to deal with. It's shaped like a bullet, with 4 high-thrust motors fitted to the base, helping it achieve peak speeds of around 170 miles per hour or 280 kilometers per hour, and cruise speeds of approximately 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour. Able to reach an altitude of around 7 kilometers or 23,000 feet, which is far higher than the 4 to 5 kilometer, 13,000 to 16,000 feet altitudes of Russia's Shaheds, the Sting carries a 500-gram, 1.1-pound warhead, as well as both daylight and thermal cameras, allowing it to operate at any time of day or night. And even though it only has 15 minutes of endurance and a 37-kilometer, 22-mile range, Ukraine has been able to use the Sting to take out targets at a distance of 500 kilometers or 310 miles. It's all thanks to the Wild Hornet Hornet Vision Control, a digital video and telemetry system that allows the Sting to provide both high-quality video and low-latency control even at massive distances. This, in effect, turns what would usually be a relatively rudimentary short-range FPV-style interceptor into a much more powerful and valuable long-range air defense asset. This technology was put to the test and passed with flying colors in early April 2026, when reports emerged of a single Ukrainian pilot, nicknamed Hulk, taking out 2 Russian Shaheds at a distance of 500 kilometers. It was the first time in history that this had happened. Never before had a drone interceptor been able to successfully strike and eliminate its target so far away from its operator. Using all his skills and experience, Hulk guided the Sting through complex conditions to destroy his targets, and even if Russia had tried to counter him, they would have had no chance since he wasn't even in the area, but hundreds of miles further back in a safe location. Hulk is just one member of the Bulava drone unit, which has played a leading role in the drone war and released a statement online to share details of the strike. The unit claimed that this is not just a one-off incident, but the start of something new, a mass deployment of lethal interceptor drones operating at extreme distances, picking off their targets with pinpoint precision and fearless impunity. This could change everything. Ukrainian drone teams and the country's rapidly evolving drone industry have already shifted the momentum of the war in their favor, with Kyiv's defenders enjoying an increasingly diverse and deadly arsenal of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, to choose from. But so many of those drones have limited ranges. They can only fly for relatively short distances, which means that their pilots and operators often have to be quite close by, which puts them at risk of being found and targeted by the Russians. If, however, drone crews could monitor and protect vast areas that are literally hundreds of miles away from them, rather than the usual radius of 20 to 30 kilometers, they'd be able to saturate the sky with swarms of interceptors, ready and waiting to deal with any Russian threats that dare enter their field of view. Best of all, this tactic would only involve minimal personnel on the ground, keeping the risk of casualties to an absolute minimum. It's a groundbreaking strategy, and Ukraine is already putting it to good use, as confirmed once more by Hulk himself. A fascinating video released on the official YouTube channel of the Ukrainian Defense Forces showed the operator in action as he answers an interviewer's questions while piloting UAVs from afar. During the interview, Hulk states that his unit has been operational since the summer of 2025 and has been using interceptor drones since November that same year. Over the span of just a few months, that one unit has managed to take out approximately 200 targets, including 184 Shaheds. Sometimes, days may pass without a single drone being destroyed. Other times, however, the unit goes on a veritable drone killing spree, with Hulk noting that their current record stands at 20 drones eliminated in a single day, with 17 of them being taken out in just an hour and a half. He explains what a significant achievement that is. It's extremely difficult to achieve that kind of number now. You have to approach the warhead with precision to destroy it in the air, so that at most only the engine reaches the ground, which basically doesn't detonate. Hulk goes on to say that around 90% of the unit's successful engagements involve detonating the drone's warheads in the air, so as to minimize the amount of debris that might fall onto populated areas. They can also use the Stings and other interceptors to ram into Shaheds and other Russian drones, but that runs the risk of large amounts of debris, plus explosive warheads colliding with homes, vehicles, and structures on the ground below. The Ukrainian pilots, therefore, have to be extremely careful when choosing their moments to strike. A Shahed might not detonate. It could fall and hit someone or a house. That's why we also try to let it pass populated areas. Fortunately, the operators are aided by the interceptor's responsive designs, which allow them to launch in just 30 seconds. Once in the air, aided by the drone's daylight and thermal cameras, pilots can easily begin hunting down targets, tracking Shaheds, and enjoying a steady stream of real-time data from their UAVs to inform their next movements and decisions. And there's very little that the Shaheds can do to evade these interceptors. As previously mentioned, they typically fly at heights of around 4 to 5 kilometers off the ground. But Ukrainian interceptors operate at even higher altitudes, giving them clear, unobstructed bird's-eye views of their targets as they speed through the skies. The interceptors are quick and agile enough to catch up with even the fastest Russian drones too. The Bulava crew confirmed they've already been able to intercept at least one jet-powered Shahed variant, which is typically capable of peak speeds of up to 600 km per hour or 370 miles per hour. Because of this, operators like Hulk almost feel like superheroes as they use their unique skill sets to eliminate Russian threats and protect their people and infrastructure on the ground. Do I feel like a superhero? Yes, because I understand that the lives of many civilians depend on me and my brothers, on our actions and results. That's what motivates you. That's what makes you love your job. The crew went on to single out the Sting for special praise, highlighting its high levels of reliability and effectiveness even in difficult conditions. They've proven themselves exceptionally well. We have no complaints at all. We've flown them in minus 30 degrees. Out of 10 sorties, we achieve about a 95% success rate. At most, we lose one drone out of 10. But the Sting is just one of many types of interceptor drones in the Ukrainian arsenal. But before we take a look at some of the others, you're watching The Military Show, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. While Russia leans heavily on the same small selection of drones, Ukraine's rapidly evolving domestic defense industry is now made up of several thousand companies, with hundreds of them working actively on new drone technologies. This includes a diverse array of interceptors, like the P-1 Sun, for example. One of the most talked about drones at Kyiv's disposal, the P-1 Sun is manufactured by the company Skyfall. It's quite similar in design to the Sting, with a distinctive bullet-like shape, and has the ability to cruise at speeds of around 300 km per hour or 185 miles per hour, but can go much faster if needed, all the way up to 450 km per hour or 280 miles per hour, which is swift enough to catch up with the majority of enemy UAVs. At a price of just $1,000 per unit, the P-1 Sun is so cheap to make. Skyfall says it can produce up to 50,000 every month. And that's just one model from one company. There are many others. The Strela, for example, from We Drones, is classed as a rocket-type air defense interceptor, soaring at speeds of around 350 km per hour or 220 miles per hour, and with a range of up to 28 km or just over 17 miles, it can carry a 500-gram, 1.1-pound payload to easily take out almost any enemy drone it encounters. And while many drones rely on GPS technology to navigate and hone in on their targets, which can make them vulnerable to electronic warfare (EW), the latest version of the Strela does not depend on GPS at all, but instead uses a more advanced jamming-resistant communication system. Just like the Sting and the P-1 Sun, the Strela is cheap to make, with an average unit price of around $2,300 and easy to produce in large quantities. We Drones currently makes around 100 every single day. There's also the Xerov 8 from a company called the Fourth Law. A little different from most of the other interceptors, this drone takes off vertically but then transitions to horizontal flight once in the air, similar in style to a quad-rotor aircraft in cruise mode. It has a 20-kilometer, 12.5-mile operational range and a maximum speed of 326 kilometers per hour or 202 miles per hour. It also harnesses the power of AI technology, which allows it to identify and lock on to Shahed automatically without the need for manual pilot controls. With its thermal cameras and small but deadly warhead, it can easily send Shahed spiraling out of the skies. The Octopus fulfills a similar role. The product of a joint effort by Ukrainian Spec Systems and Project Octopus, this interceptor drone has an impressive 30-kilometer, 18.5-mile combat radius, 15 minutes of endurance, and a top speed of 300 kilometers per hour, 185 miles per hour. It also carries a larger payload than most others, tipping the scales at 1.2 kilograms or 2.6 pounds. With AI image recognition and automatic terminal guidance, this drone, like the Xerov 8, is semi-autonomous. A pilot can help it guide during the initial takeoff and target finding phase, but once it's found a Shahed or other drone to eliminate, the AI can take over and finish the job with flawless execution. And Ukraine's interceptor army is only getting stronger and more diverse as time goes by. In March 2026, for example, the country's Ministry of Defense announced the rollout of new Jedi Shahed Hunter drones, featuring lightweight and compact but resilient frames, 4 high-power electronic motors, and high-capacity batteries to keep them in the air longer than other models. Weighing in at only 4 kilograms, 9 pounds, the Jedi comes equipped with 500-gram payloads and the ability to reach heights of around 20,000 feet or 6 kilometers off the ground. They can strike targets within 40 kilometers or 25 miles of their takeoff zones and soar at speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour or 220 miles per hour. The Jedi also relies on a healthy balance of human and technological input to seek and destroy its targets. Human control teams manage their flight pathing and targeting, while nearby radar systems feed real-time data to the drone while it's in the air, helping it pinpoint enemy drone locations and hone in on them quickly and efficiently as soon as they come into range. Like other interceptors, the Jedi comes with both daylight and thermal imaging cameras to operate day or night, and it has enough explosive power to bring down not just Shaheds, but also Jeren and Gabera strike drones, plus Zala and Supercam surveillance platforms too. And with more money set to pour into the Ukrainian defense industry in the weeks and months to come, like the €90 billion, $105 billion loan that the European Union is set to send Kyiv's way, the country's interceptors are only going to get smarter, stronger, faster and deadlier as the war rages on. Because Russia has effectively gone all in on drone warfare at this stage. Drones are really the only tool the Kremlin has to reliably deal damage to Ukraine. Its tanks clearly weren't good enough, with literally thousands of them being blown up by mines, rockets, and kamikaze UAVs. Its armoured vehicles have proven equally useless at penetrating Ukraine's fortified frontline positions. And its suicidal assault squads, now typically comprised of 15 to 20 clueless recruits who have no training, no backup, and no idea what they're supposed to do, continue to have almost zero impact in terms of gaining valuable ground or pushing the Kremlin's war machine closer to achieving its stated objectives. Drones are the last roll of the dice for President Vladimir Putin and his commanders. They cause more casualties in Ukraine than any other weapon and have at least allowed Russia to damage and destroy Ukrainian infrastructure like substations and logistics hubs. That's why the Kremlin has ramped up production of its UAVs, pouring funds into production plants and churning out greater and greater quantities of Shaheds and other strike drones in the hopes of overwhelming its opponent. For a time, analysts feared that this strategy would work, Because with more drones in the skies, even Ukraine's world-leading air defense network would eventually buckle beneath the pressure. It would be forced to use up its limited stocks of interceptor missiles, wasting millions of dollars worth of hardware just to defend its territories and protect its people. And in the end, even if it could take out 80 or even 85% of the enemy's threats, enough would still get through to cause serious and lasting damage. Fortunately, Ukraine has once again proven its doubters wrong and turned a seemingly impossible situation around, and it's all thanks to these interceptor drones. They're allowing Kyiv's defenders to counteract the Russian swarms in the most cost-effective and impactful way, not only eliminating the majority of enemy drones, but also taking them out far from Ukraine's towns and cities, where they have zero chance of causing any major harm. And each time a drone goes down, that represents tens of thousands of dollars of Kremlin cash going up in flames. Alone, that's not much, but all those losses add up. And with the Russian economy in an increasingly dire situation, the country really cannot afford to keep throwing funds and resources away for such little returns. It's not sustainable in the long term, and despite his boasting and bluster, Putin knows it. For Ukraine, however, the equation is much more profitable. Using a $2,000 drone to take out a $50,000 threat is a big win, no matter which way you look at it. And the Ukrainian drone crews are getting more proficient with their interceptors all the time. In March 2026, for example, they reportedly downed over 2,300 aerial threats. That was 55% more than the previous month. If Ukraine can keep up that kind of pace, it could soon be taking out thousands more UAVs each month, nullifying the biggest threat Russia has left. And once the Kremlin's drones become effectively useless, Putin's commanders will be left relying on their futile frontline assaults in an increasingly desperate attempt to gain ground. Ukraine, meanwhile, fortified by its interceptor fleet, may soon be able to find gaps in the Russian lines, exploiting the enemy's weakened state to push on and recapture valuable patches of territory. In short, the tide is continuing to turn. Now, Ukraine is growing stronger while Russia's forces flatline, and you can learn more about how that's happening in this video, which looks at how Ukraine's brutal deep strike campaign has shattered defenses far and wide across the occupied territories and in Russian regions too. Alternatively, check out this video to find out how Ukraine is upgrading its air defenses in other ways, creating invisible yet impenetrable shields around its towns, cities, and vital infrastructure. And if you want to see more videos just like this and stay up to date on the latest military innovations, strategic breakthroughs, and game-changing events on the ground in Russia and Ukraine, subscribe to The Military Show today.